So thank you so much, Fausto, for having me here, and I really appreciate being on the campus. Very impressive university. I've worked a little bit with one of the other faculty members, Guillermo de Andres, who may be joining us later today. So it's fabulous having some knowledge of what the marketing and business programs are here to be able to tour the campus and to be a part of one of your programs. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, you know who I am. I thought I'd tell a little bit about WPP. You're all familiar with WPP, more or less. We have a wide range of companies from advertising, PR, shopper marketing, media, certainly research, consumer insights. We look at knowledge, entertainment. We just acquired another entertainment business today. It was announced. So I have the privilege to work with so many of my colleagues at all these impressive agencies. I run a knowledge center called The Store, and our focus is retail. So I say I take my shopping cart around and I meet the best people, and then we put programs together, conferences, and different types of sessions where we engage our clients and our different agencies in and around shopper. We just had a big session in Santiago last week, and that was why I was able to be here with you today. So I'll talk a little bit about my group. I'm a CEO of a very small group, and we're actually not an operating company, we're a knowledge hub. So our area is looking at best practice and innovation in retail. So my expertise is looking at format development, retailer strategies, looking at the shopper and their changing behavior. This region, of course, has been so interesting with the formal and the informal economies, and looking at how we're transitioning different type of emerging middle class into modern trade. That's not what I'm going to be talking about today, but I have spent quite a bit of time in the region. We look at customer marketing. How do we bring our client brand to Walmart, to Carrefour? Looking at the visibility on shelf, how do we bring a brand to life? And of course, the landscape that we're going to talk about today has a substantial impact on this very issue when we talk about how digital is impacting the shopper journey. We look at future growth drivers. What can we take advantage of to grow our business, hopefully at a faster share than our competitors' brands at retail. We're looking at digital technology. A number of years ago, we talked about in-store media networks. They were putting screens in retail environments. I think we're kind of at that point where we're looking beyond that and looking at all the screens and looking at assisting shoppers in their shopping, not really stopping shoppers in stores to look at television. So we really rethinking the content and the purpose of that. And then the digital impact on this larger path to purchase, which I'll touch on. So these are some of the topics that I cover from my job with the store. This is an example of a industry leadership piece that I worked with Guillermo Andres here. Was funded by the Coca-Cola Retailing Research Council, and we looked at fast growth markets and how retailers who operate in these very volatile, tumultuous kinds of markets are skilled at handling disruption and how they engage with their shopper and create a safe environment, a positive environment, give back to the community, etc. So we really looked at the underpinnings of their success. One was the magazine Luisa in Brazil. We were with the Interbank team in Peru, and we also were in South Africa, and we went to Turkey, and we were with retailers from China as well. So a broad perspective that was then later published in the Harvard Business Review. So we're always looking at the front leading edge of what's driving growth in retail and innovation. And then with the intersection of mobile social networking and shopping, we're looking at this definition of cross-channel retail. So we would take different speakers from VML, DOS, and Schematic, and I'm going to be presenting some of the content that this team shared as part of an outlook on media landscape. That's kind of the shopping cart that I have. I can pick and choose. So this is what I was asked. Fausto sent me, I said, Fausto, what am I talking about today? You know, because I am an expert on shopper, but this seemed to be a different type of a meeting. And so he asked me to talk about a few things like the trends and the changes that WPP observes in the business model of media organizations, and how we're going to look at profits and looking at strategies to face these changes, and of course, leadership. So no short order, but I will do my best to address these topics. And I've had the help of our WPP communications team to bring you the perspective, starting with a section from Outlook for Growth. We've got two sections. We're going to look at WPP, and this is going to be from our 2012 earnings report. Martin Sorrell had just made a presentation on this, so I was able to tap into some of that material and share you from the very top what we're looking at moving forward. And then from Group M, looking at this view of future media, this team that you just saw, the connected consumer and connected media, which I know is very important to this group in particular. Okay, so a few highlights from Sir Martin. And I would welcome you to go online. There's you can see the video of him making this presentation. I've cut into the section that I think has the most impact and relevance to this audience, given the brief from Fausto. So we are looking at new markets, new media, and consumer insights. And we wanted to share with you how we see our markets changing. If we look at new markets today, we're seeing about 30% of our business, our revenue coming from that work. We're looking at new media today, we see 33%, and the quantitative today, we're seeing 50%. Now, in terms of the insights, because a large part of our business is coming from Kantar, which is research from companies like Millward Brown, Research International, TNS, etc. So we're looking at the change, we're looking at tomorrow, new markets representing between 35 and 40% of our business, new media certainly growing 35 to 40% of our business, and we're seeing the split between quantitative and qualitative research to stay about the same. It's interesting, Martin used the phrase back to the future. If you go back to look at the world and who was really responsible for growth in the world economy, what we're calling these new markets, fast growth markets, really were at that time in the mid-1800s accountable for a huge part of the GDP in the world. And of course now we're kind of going back into that direction when you look at the productivity and the dynamic businesses in those regions. So just a different view, a more holistic view over time. This shares revenue in faster growing markets. And by the way, if anyone wants copies of this, we'd be happy to make this available if this is something that you want. There's a lot of figures, and I don't generally present figures in my work, so I'm not an economist. And I'm not an accountant, but nonetheless, here are the revenues that we're seeing in the fast growth markets over about a 8-year period, 2004 to 2012. And so you can see that this is a big growth area for us. Relative to our competitors, for example, Publicis in green, IPG and Omnicom, we're seeing a larger percentage of our growth coming from these markets. And we're looking at performance being very strong in BRIC markets, kind of looking more into that new market perspective and splitting it out between Brazil, India, Russia, and Greater China. And this is more detail, more granular detail, specifically what countries we're seeing the growth. And in Latin America, we're next is kind of showing you what our billings are and our percent share within those markets. That information wasn't available for Brazil at the time that this report came out. Again, media billings by geography, worldwide rankings by our group, this percent of the 6 groups. And so, again, these markets very strong. This is an interesting comparison of the time that consumers spend with media and then the percent of ads expenditure against that type of media. So comparing print, radio, TV, and internet, I think when you're looking at, and I know this group is particularly interested in digital, we're seeing that consumers are spending 26% of the time looking at that media, and we're only investing 22%. So there's a bit of a disparity when we're looking at new media, and we're kind of looking at it in a range of different ways. How we're looking at a very fragmented digital media landscape and how we're getting our clients to engage and start to spend differently as our disciplines in digital are certainly advancing or accelerating. And then mobile, which is a huge opportunity. We've spent a lot of time last week talking about mobile. We had Telefonica and a number of our different clients like Coca-Cola who are really engaged in using mobile, but it's kind of how do we think about that? And we'll talk about this a little bit later. We're encouraging clients to start spending, well, I might call it a little bit of mad money, in some unproven areas to experiment, or just a percent of that budget to some of the new media where you might not know exactly where the ROI is, but it's important to get the learning. So that's where we're looking at in a nutshell. There's little slowdown predicted in the growth of digital advertising because there are some industry statistics that you see our Group M has captured. Here's our WPP share of digital revenue. So our revenue share continues to grow, and we are continuing to expand our portfolio, acquiring new digital agencies almost on a weekly basis. I think every day I'm turning on my email and I'm learning. I know some of you in the room with WPP, there's another one. Okay, we bought another one in Turkey and India and Brazil. So it's a very exciting time. Our digital strategy is digital everywhere, and we're investing in digital in all of our businesses through training, recruitment, acquisition. And as I mentioned, acquiring digital businesses, but then bringing that expertise into all of our agencies. We're looking at the specialist digital expertise. So we're developing new services, web development, DSPs, mobile, social, e-commerce. So we're investing in those type of platforms, trying to stay ahead of the curve and being able to lead our clients into those directions. Data and technology is just a whole exploding area. It's mind-boggling what is available today. There's big data, and there's really, really big data. And I'm learning how we're capturing these kind of data. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But really changing our approach to data, not necessarily owning the data, but taking bits of data as it becomes available. That's a whole other discipline, and we're certainly, have a lot of professionals that have deep expertise in that area. And then partnering with digital leaders, which is very important to us. We're building strong partnerships with leaders such as Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Apple, Twitter. And really, I think that's the way of the future. It's sort of the bigger the tent, the better in terms of partnering. When really, everyone is becoming media, and everyone has new knowledge, and so we really are proud of our partnerships. That said, we've also are developing proprietary digital platforms to create an advantage for WPP and an advantage to our clients. And 24/7 Media is a company that we've acquired, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago. And now we've embedded that technology into our solutions, proprietary from where the other large ad agency holding companies are working with Google on a platform. So if you need more information on that, I can get you to the right people. But it is a distinction I thought I should bring to this audience. We have 2 major global networks supported by strong specialists. And we're looking at, we have Ogilvy here. I should ask you to speak a little bit about your network. you care to chime in?
Venía a ver a Gwen solamente y a saludarla, que viene de dar una conferencia en Chile realmente fantástica de WPP de Store, digamos, y la verdad que esa conferencia se hizo hace 2 años aquí en Argentina y obviamente WPP invita a todos sus clientes. Bueno, la verdad cuando me dijo que Fausto iba a estar acá, así que bueno, vinimos a saludarla. Solamente remarcar un poco, yo puedo hablar solamente de Ogilvy, pero obviamente orgullosos de pertenecer en el grupo WPP. Realmente el crecimiento del negocio digital en Ogilvy y en el grupo WPP es muy grande. Gwen saltó al punto, pero en enero WPP, por ejemplo, adquirió el 20% de Globant, en una de sus movidas digitales en Latinoamérica muy fuertes. Nosotros desde Ogilvy también este año estamos incorporando compañías digitales a nuestro portfolio, no solamente para la oferta en Argentina, sino para la oferta en América Latina. A mí me toca, digamos, dirigir las operaciones de Ogilvy en Chile, en Argentina, en Uruguay, en Paraguay, en Bolivia, y realmente tenemos muchísimas opciones y estamos hablando de un montón de compañías, no solamente para la parte digital de retail, sino mobile y en todos lo que nosotros llamamos los 10 battlegrounds del negocio digital. Como verán ahí, Ogilvy One es uno de los grandes jugadores a nivel mundial del negocio digital dentro de WPP. Nosotros, por ejemplo, acá en Argentina tenemos clientes como IBM, American Express, el Banco Santander, Fox Latinoamérica y demás, que manejamos toda su participación en el mundo digital a través de Ogilvy One y otra unidad que se llama Digital at Ogilvy, que se están, digamos, como fusionando sus negocios. La realidad es que también hoy el área de Analytics está creciendo muy fuerte en el mercado en Latina Sur. Obviamente Brasil va a la cabeza en estos desarrollos, pero lo que permite el mundo digital y todo el trabajo que hace Gwen y el equipo de retail de Store, que nos brindan un montón de conocimientos, es cada vez trabajar más con estímulo-respuesta y medir esas respuestas a través de Analytics o a través de datos. Así que bueno, no sé si esperabas esto de mí. You expect that for me? Okay. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. And again, this is a different view of our different agency groups in various parts of the world. So we're teaming together the best of the best across the key disciplines to be able to serve our clients regionally and certainly multinational clients on a global level. New media, we have access as a WPP Advantage, huge opportunity there, looking at video and mobile and social. I think we're looking at a broader view of media today. It's not just out of home, it's it's a total experience facilitated through technology. And so we'll talk a little bit later, some of the new advances in augmented reality. We shared pop-up stores that are just based on using mobile phones to capture the whole experience on site with the pop-up stores. So these kinds of companies can help us seize opportunities that really inform how we're approaching marketing and brand development from a creative perspective. We'll get into that a little bit as well. I mentioned this idea of this data and how data is growing. And this is a visual to try to bring that perspective into a framework. If in 2009 we had that little square of data, and now in 2020 we expect to have this kind of a growth of information, how do we handle all this? And importantly, how do we guide our clients to be able to manage this and make it really actionable? I think that's our key issue. How do you take this information and do something with it that you can say we've had performance and results from all of this. And so this is this big frontier that we're looking at. It's very exciting, it's very challenging as well. So managing our insights and quantitative disciplines with that as a backdrop. Of course, we're becoming more data-driven in our marketing and approach, but finding ways to make that big data small, make it into actionable bites so brands can really do something with it. We're simplifying and trying to utilize the existing data better, and as we manage this explosion of data. We're looking at digital campaigns driven by data analytics and feedback, It's this in real-time optimization that we're looking at, ability to provide continuous updated data, and then unique combinations of assets and research, audience management, measurement, data management, and digital media. So we work also with the industry leaders in measurement to be sure that we're able to capture the best and help drive how we're looking at that as an industry. So horizontally, I showed you a different version of this graphic. 165,000 people in 3,000 offices in 110 companies. And horizontally, 30-plus account teams, over 35,000 WPP employees are working on these clients. And our current country managers, people, clients, acquisitions across this geography. We're looking at ensuring that our people work across the businesses and geographies to deliver the best. And I think that's two-sided. Hello. Two-sided. We have to be very aware of local distinctions. We're calling it the global framework, if you will. What are really the business drivers within certain geographies, markets with unique characteristics, but also on a global level, how are we supporting our colleagues in these large multinational companies to accomplish their goals collectively. We're also, so best resources to our clients, delivering specialist skills. I mentioned retail is my focus. Digital, shopper, analytics, sustainability, which I may touch on later, is a growing area and a major focus for us as we deliver brand relevance to our consumers. Internal communications, media, and entertainment. So again, just looking broadly across disciplines. We want to focus on client needs and business issues. And again, recent wins, Bank of America. We've got the J&J Miller Coors. Actually, it's a team that's set up in Chicago, which is bringing the best from a variety of different agencies to serve a particular client. So we've been looking at different frameworks and solutions for clients that can cut across our traditional operating company brands, if you will, and bring the right disciplines and solutions to them. So we talked a little bit earlier about digital and fast-growing markets, maybe a little more simplified view. We're looking at two key long-term growth drivers, and that we can see the fast-growing markets, and that's our clients are looking at these markets for their growth as well. And then digital, as we have an expanded portfolio, and then we're seeing the rise of digital consumption. And it's interesting to look at the intersection, if you will, of the digital in the fast growth markets. And that's just a real hot spot for us. So you'll see more investments coming from us into the digital in these particular markets because there's a tremendous opportunity for accelerated growth. We have three key objectives, again, as stated in our earnings report by our chairman, Martin Sorrell. We're going to improve operating margins, increase the flexibility in our cost base. We're going to use free cash flow to enhance share ownership value and improve return on capital. We're going to develop the role of the parent company further. We're going to emphasize revenue growth more as margins improve. And we're going to improve the creative capabilities and reputation of all our businesses. Now, I'm going to speak to that last point for this audience. We are looking at acquisitions and investments, and this is a snapshot of 2012. So you can understand why I'm saying every week I'm getting another email from our communications group telling us about another company that we've acquired. And so that's now I'm going to go to now. Let's take a look at the media landscape. So that's the first part of my presentation, and now we're going to look at this connected consumer, connected communications that really fits within that last growth point delivered by at our shareholder meeting. So this is a presentation that's come from a group, part of our Group M, which is most of you probably know. It's our media side of the business, and MEC being one of those media agencies Rob Norman had used this presentation at an event recently. So, love, treasure, adore. I love this image where, you know, I remember the first day that a computer was delivered to my desk. I think it was about 1993, and I was an account person at one of the major agencies, and like, what are we supposed to do with this? And then now it's like, I love my iPad. You know, and we really have gone through this incredible transformation and adoption of technology. So it's how we work, it's how we communicate. I know I'm preaching to the choir here because you're all advocates of media, technology and media. But it's always good for perspective to just take that step back and realize, you know, how quickly things have changed. And we've seen a behavioral and psychological shift, fundamentally changing the adoption of behaviors with technology and media platforms. It's been a huge shift. So yesterday, of course, this was confined to the computer. Today, we see it extending to multiple platforms, and tomorrow it will surround us. We're just getting glimpses of what that will look like. We had some fun talking about the Google Glass in our session last week, and as well as looking at what it can offer you. It was fun to look at the videos where people bumping into everything while they're getting messages through their Google Glass. So it could be two sides to that coin, but it's a very exciting landscape. So we're looking at how we consume and experience media. We've got passive, it's been active, participatory, sharing and curating, which is, you know, it's so much a part of our world. We don't just want to know what others think we should do, we want to know what they think we should think we should do. It's a very interesting landscape. And then, of course, the creativity, you know, what new ideas can come from our deep understanding of how this connected consumer is navigating their world. So the next generation will be characterized by the symbiotic relationship of the best of the traditional and the best of the revolution in telling stories and sharing brand experiences. And I think this is an important lens, because that's really fundamentally what communication is about. And I think we get very distracted with a lot of the gadgets and technologies and platforms. It's really, how are we going to use all of this to do something that, as communication experts and branding experts, we need to do. We're telling stories and we're sharing brand experiences. So underwriting this evolution is going to be social, mobile, search, and data, acting as the infrastructure that enables connected consumers, connected to devices and connected to each other, connected communications, and this is content distributed and connected across platforms, okay? And driving this new balance between delivery and discovery of content. So we have content and we have context, and ultimately we have to remember what we're setting out to do, which is delivering stories and branded experiences. So for today, we see this new world meets an old world. Image of, I think this is in London, you know, the old city and across from the London Eye. Digital world meets the physical world. Building data is a way of building bridges, is a visual analogy. And 4 big issues, 3 giants with an agenda, and 5 practical steps. So this is what we're looking at today. So let me explain. The new digital infrastructure and how it will underpin all media and communications moving forward. This is new world meeting old world. Okay? And as the features and benefits of technology become untethered from PCs, we're seeing the beginning of the end of the digital distinction and the change in consumers' expectations. So I think you've all seen this video where the little girl says this magazine doesn't work.
Algunos
not touch
no vio videos, todos
you know. And I've seen this too with just looking at a flat screen computer or TV set when the kids start to touch the screen. It doesn't work for them. So we've spent a lot of time looking at this unique this consumer group that's been consuming media experience in a whole new way since the day they were born. And from the social web to social, I think just 2 years ago people were talking about the social web. what's the social web? It's just all social. But that was how they were describing it. So it's a feature of all communications. This is a new world. You know, the whole web is social. Facebook is becoming the anchor, and social is mobile. Social is everywhere. 25% of all online time is spent on the web, social. Let's see, I think there's another one. 80% of U.S. internet users are accessing social sites, and an e-commerce experience is becoming socialized. We talked a bit about that at our conference last week. Magazine Luisa in Brazil created magazine Voce. And the magazine Voce, I have 50 products that are on my Facebook page. And if my friends buy these products from me, I get about 2.5% to 4% commission. So that's e-commerce coming to social. It's a very interesting way to create a business model where for Magazine Luisa, they're able to expand their sales and footprint into more remote areas and take advantage of people that like to do direct selling for business. They usually would have to buy a kit, make an investment up front, and this way the retailer handles all the inventory and fulfillment through my Facebook page. So it's a very different model for retail that we're looking at, and this has a very big impact overall. Facebook becoming the anchor, as I said, this is Magazine Voce on Facebook. 80% of top 100 sites with social plugins, 8% of the U.S. top 100 sites. Okay, oops, I keep doing this, sorry. 50% of U.S. population are active users of Facebook. 25% of them logging on daily. I think I have friends who are always on Facebook. I can't understand how they're all through the day on Facebook. Number one source of traffic for portals is growing for others. So every time you want to log on to a site, they make it easier for you. You can log on through Facebook. So it's a huge impact. We're seeing it as the single largest mobile property, the third most popular download app, and integration with devices, as I mentioned.